So our planking is coming along really nicely. We're down around past the majority of the bilge now, and as you can see, it's really, the shape of the hull is really coming out. I've had a number of people ask how I'm getting these seams so even, and there's two things that I'm doing. The first is I have taken a ratchet strap, and I took this piece of hardwood maple and I cut it out so that it was just a little over a half an inch wide in there, that I can slip up underneath the plank, and then with that clamp strapped all the way over to the other side, I can then ratchet that in and get it nice and tight. The second way is I made this reefing hook, and it's a piece of 1/8 inch thick steel that I've cut into this hook shape on the end of it here. And then this direction, it is a fine edge on the outside, and then it tapers out so that it's nice and wide on the inside. And also I put a handle on it that is fat on the end so that I'm able to push with it, and also that it slopes in so that I can pull on it. So the way that this works is that when I place the hook into the plank where it's already wide, and here where it's nice and tight, I can push this through and it will compress those fibers and widen that out so that it's all 1/8 of an inch wide. The other way it works is to put it in here and pull it towards me, and then it will actually cut some of that wood out of there if it's really, really tight. And I can go back and press it a little bit deeper and get a really nice, even seam. Now, it's important that all of the seams are the same width so that when we do caulk it with the cotton, it'll all lay in there nicely. If you'd like to know more about this tool and how I made it, leave me a comment below, and that may be one of the future videos that I make on tool making. So I've made a couple of planking decisions this week, and I have a special announcement. So if you stick around to the end, I'll tell you about that. So we've only got 2 more planks left to put on the boat. And the last plank that would go down here would be the shear strake. And the shear is the point of where that plank meets the deck. Now, as you all know, that this haven designed by Joel White is basically replicating the Herreshoff 12.5. And one of the details that Joel White specified was a molding, essentially a rub rail that would be the shear strake, that had curvature to it that was designed by Nathaniel Herreshoff. Now, that's one of the things about the boat that just bothered me a little bit, and mainly because I find myself being drawn to shears that are a little cleaner and more simple. And one of the things I realized when I was looking through a lot of the photographs that I had of the shear strake is that a lot of them were designed by his son, L. Francis Herreshoff. Born in Bristol, Connecticut in 1890, L. Francis grew up in the famous Herreshoff boatyard headed by his father Nathaniel. As the youngest of 4 sons, Captain Nat felt he was stupid and slow as a yacht designer, which we now know is because of his dyslexia. Francis was set off to a career running the family farm. He saw this as a dead end, knowing his place was in the boatyard. He wrote, "My thoughts are almost altogether either in working at the shop or sailing." To move ahead, he moved away and enlisted in the Navy in 1921 at the age of 30. After the naval service, he insisted that his place was in the boatyard and went to work with Sterling Burgess. Burgess gave Francis a chance to learn about yacht design and show his artistic talent as a draftsman. In 1926, he went into business for himself and opened L. Francis Herreshoff Boatyard in Marblehead. In 1930, he designed a radically advanced boat with her double-ended canoe-like build and electronic instruments, the Whirlwind, It was a J-class America Cup Defender. About her lines, a notable boat designer, Opha Fox, described her profile as very pleasing to the eye, the stem sweeping down to the keel in a very sweet line, and to a man who, like myself, she is a joy to behold. Herreshoff was definitely an artist, not only designing, innovating, beautiful yachts, but also working with his hands in the wood and metal shops. Despite L. Francis's learning disabilities, he was an author of several books on yachting. Herreshoff's is the sort of writing which many people long for and seldom find. Has it occurred to you that he writes as Thoreau would have written had he been a sailor? Starling Burgess. Francis remained an artist throughout his career, considering not only the intent but also the style, believing that a simple, common-sense approach created the most beautiful boats. So I find myself really identifying with L. Francis Herreshoff, and I'm going to design a shear that is a little closer to following some of those simple lines. One of the reasons why I think I do identify with him is the struggles that he had through school are very much the same kind of struggles I have, because I, like a lot of artists, am dyslexic. And speaking of dyslexic, check out this video. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Yeah, I hollowed out the wrong side of the plank. So with dyslexia, including inverting numbers and not being able to tell left from right, I clearly was not able to tell from the inside to the outside and hollowed out the wrong side. So other than wasting about 4 hours preparing that plank, hopefully I'll be able to reuse the material somewhere else in the boat. In thinking about the changes that I'd like to make, I consulted with my friend and mentor, Paul Gartside, who is one of the premier small craft naval architects today. And he agreed that the shear has nothing to do with the performance of the boat and everything to do with how it looks. One of the things I did to help me visualize what a simpler shear strake would look like, I painted the model of the boat so that it is just a very thin line showing. And you can see here in these two side-by-side comparisons, in the painted one, it actually makes the boat look a little bigger. During my research, I also found that L. Francis had actually designed a boat that's called the Buzzard Bay 14. It's essentially the same boat as a Herreshoff 12.5 that his father had designed, with the exception that he put that more minimalist looking shear on it. Well, I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to resolve the shear, but I do know at this point that I can use the same Atlantic white cedar planking material for the shear strake on the boat. Well, as we get close to finishing up the planking, the very last plank that goes on the boat is called a shutter plank. It's also sometimes called a whiskey plank. And it's called a whiskey plank because it's time for celebrating that you've got the planking of the boat done, which is sort of a milestone in any boat building. So I had planned on having a whiskey plank party, but given the shelter and stay that we have going on right now, I decided that I would just do a video of the whiskey plank party. So you'll all be invited to that. Also, what I thought I would do at that time is answer any questions that you had. So we'll do a little planking party and some question and answers. So what I'd like you to do in the next couple of weeks is to send in any questions. Now you can simply put them in the comment of this video, or you can direct messaging me one of your questions. And then I will call them all together and I'm guessing that some of the questions will be similar. I'll be looking forward to answering your questions and having a whiskey with you. Many of you have asked about these t-shirts, and I'm happy to announce that I've teamed up with Bonfire, who will be a print-on-demand t-shirt company that will print t-shirts very similar to this one. So it'll have a logo on the front, and it'll have the art of boat building on the back. There will be 4 different choices of shirts, so it'll be a very limited time that they're available. The link will be in the description. So as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.